Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really plunging into the intensifying conflict between Iran and Israel.
Right.
You've brought some vital sources, and our mission, really, is to pull out the key insights. We need to understand the current situation, what each side can actually do, and tackle that core question. What does winning even look like here? Who could possibly come out on top?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because what we're seeing, what the sources show, is this shift. Years of proxy fighting, shadow wars, now moving into direct confrontation. We have this snapshot, Israel hitting Iranian nuclear sites June 12th.
Right, 2025.
And then Iran firing back missiles just days later, June 15th. The sources offer, well, different takes on what this all means militarily, geopolitically, especially thinking about a decisive outcome. Is that even possible?
Okay, so given that direct engagement, let's talk capabilities. What do the sources reveal about Iran's military capacity, particularly, its ability to sustain a fight like this? What are the strategic options?
Well, diving into the material, Iran's missile arsenal really stands out. It's huge.
Largest in the Middle East, I think I read.
Arguably, yes. Thousands of ballistic missiles. But the key thing here, it's not just the numbers. It's that Iran has shown it can keep up these attacks.
Oh.
For weeks.
Weeks, wow.
Yeah, and that really changes the deterrence calculation, doesn't it? Makes any quick, decisive war incredibly costly for whoever starts it. And there's this mention, too, of the Hajj Qassam missile.
Ah, the new one.
Exactly. Apparently, it evaded Israeli air defenses, caused significant damage. That's a development.
And looking beyond, missiles and direct fighting, does Iran have other leverage points? Big ones.
Absolutely. The sources really underscore this potent non-military card, the threat to close the Strait of Hormuz.
The oil choke point.
Precisely. Experts quoted think this could push oil prices way above $100 a barrel. That's critical leverage, totally separate from the battlefield.
Okay, so Iran has clear strengths, but the sources also talk about Israel's successes, right? Operation Rising Lion. What was the initial impact there?
Yeah, Rising Lion achieved pretty extraordinary initial success, according to the reports. They apparently took out Iran's air defenses, got air superiority.
That's key.
Very key. And eliminated top military leaders, nuclear scientists, hit hundreds of targets, including those really important underground enrichment sites, Natanz and Fordow, central to their nuclear goals.
But how decisive was that success, really?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? While it was impressive, the information suggests, well, a lot of Iran's nuclear program is still intact, or maybe salvageable.
So, not a knockout blow.
Not quite. To really hit those deep underground facilities, Israel would likely need more advanced U.S. weapons, maybe even U.S. air support.
Which brings us to the U.S. role. It seems critical. What are the sources saying about American involvement, or lack thereof?
It's complex. The material notes the Trump administration knew about Israel's operation beforehand. U.S. weapons were reportedly used. But President Trump's rhetoric, it's described as constantly shifting, torn between, ending wars but also supporting Israel.
And now under Biden.
A different signal. President Biden reportedly told Netanyahu straight up, the U.S. would not join an Israeli retaliatory strike. That's a clear push for de-escalation.
So direct U.S. military intervention.
Seems highly unlikely right now, despite what Israel might strategically need for those deeper targets.
Okay, so beyond the direct fight, this is shaking up the whole region, right? What are the wider consequences mentioned? And thinking about a winner again, what are the big roadblocks to either side really achieving victory?
Yeah, the sources talk about the traditional Arab-led security order being, quote, shredded by Israel's actions.
Shredded, strong word.
It is. Suggesting Arab governments might now focus more on balancing against an empowered Israel. And we're seeing that shift you mentioned earlier from proxies to direct conflict because Iran's proxy networks largely neutralized, so Iran has to respond directly now.
Interesting. And other powers? China.
China's mentioned as interested in mediating, but also views Iran as being in an inevitable decline. So mixed signals there, too.
So who wins? The sources seem skeptical of a clear victory.
Very skeptical. Big challenges for either side to get total victory. Geographically, they can't easily invade each other. The logistics involved are just immense.
So wrapping this all together, looking across all these varied sources, what's the single biggest takeaway for you?
I think it's that a clear, decisive military win, where one side completely defeats or eliminates the other, it's just not indicated in these sources. Not at all. Both sides can inflict serious damage, yes, but they both face major limits in achieving their biggest goals unless something fundamental changes, like external support or internal politics.
Right. So if I had to make my best guess, based only on what we've discussed from these sources, it feels like this isn't heading for a quick resolution or a clear winner. It's more likely to become a prolonged, really damaging
A
confrontation.
long slog.
Yeah, exactly. Periods of things heating up, then cooling down maybe.
Yeah.
A long-term stalemate where both sides just keep taking losses. And that focus will stay locked on Iran's nuclear program and the Strait of Hormuz leverage. Which leaves a final question, really, for you listening. How long can this cycle, this damaging, direct back and forth, actually continue before the costs just become unbearable for everyone involved?